A very warm welcome, everybody, and welcome to Fife in Scotland for round 3 of our 2022 Winter Warmer Race Series. Yep, we're here at Knockhill in the hills north of Dunfermline in Scotland, the only FIA-approved circuit in Scotland and one that caterhams visit relatively regularly. Certainly I have turned some laps around here in my time. As you'll notice, we haven't got Scott Woodwiss on board this evening. Unfortunately, he is away travelling. So you have myself, Chris Hutchinson, on the cameras and on the microphone tonight. And looking forward to some more racing action. As you can see, the drivers here coming up through the chicane. We'll talk a bit more about the track and maybe take you on a lap around in a little bit. Their drivers are starting their qualification lap. But let's have a quick look at the season that we are here, seventh season at caterhamracer.com. We don't have to stick to one a year, so we get as many seasons in as we can, and we're just sitting here preparing for the real race season. But we've already had 2 rounds of our race series. We were at Silverstone International a couple of weeks back, and there Will Rossetti romped away with the victory. Ryan Hooker came home in second, and we had Christian Sciarruta in third. They all secured their qualification spot for the grand final, which is due to take place at the beginning of March at Alton Park or Anglesey Coastal. More on that in a second. Cadwell Park was our second race, so that was last Tuesday's event, and that was some brilliant racing going on. And Jaroslav Czerny did romp away in the victory, but it was all close behind, with Jensen Hasse taking second place and Andrew Parker the final qualification spot. That moves us on to round 3. Here we are at Knockhill. We're going in the clockwise direction this evening. And we've got 3 more qualification spots up for grabs for people. So just to sort of keep you abreast of everything, so we have 3 qualification races in our opening 4 rounds. So each race we give 3 more qualification spots. And essentially, we've got 2 drivers on tonight that have already secured their qualification spots. So we are due to have Ryan Hooker and Jaroslav Czerny. So they won't need to, if they finish in the top 3, we won't count them for those qualification spots. But essentially, the top 3 are the places you're looking for to gain your spots. And we're looking at Chris Skillicorn on screen at the moment. And in the last couple of rounds, he has been chomping at the bit, sort of in those runners-up type spots. So he should be one to watch out for this evening. We're quite early on in qualification. It's a 15-minute session. We've still got 10 minutes left of the session, so there's still plenty of time and opportunity for the drivers to set their times. But David Rowe there setting a good early lap time with a 56.6 second lap. Let's find David Rowe on the screen. It's David hasn't actually joined us for the events so far, so this is his first time on the server. So he obviously he'll be looking to try and gain his qualification spot. He's always fast, and you can see tonight we just while we see lots of cars on the screen, it's worth pointing out that we have 26 people potentially on the server tonight. I think I've seen a couple that aren't able to make it, so 24 cars circulating around. It's certainly going to be busy out on track, and trying to find a gap and line yourself up for a qualification lap is not going to be easy, as we see David coming up against a couple of bits of traffic here. So Richard Groom just ahead, and John Lang there. Richard Groom does move to one side, so whether he'll actually make an improvement on his lap, we'll get to see in a second. But certainly for all the drivers out there, it's going to be tricky. This is a very short, compact track. It's only 1.3 miles, just over 2 kilometres long, so there's not a lot of space there. Dave just misses it's a bit slightly slower on that lap than the one before, but still impressive bit of consistency there. Yep, very compact and short throw of a lap, so not much opportunity to gain space, but certainly it's your job as a driver to work out how to do that. Like I said, we do visit this track with Caterham relatively regularly, and we will be visiting as part of the main Caterham Motorsports season this year as well. I think down in September we're due to head over there, and I know that the graduates are also visiting this year. We're running in the clockwise variation tonight. which is the sort of considered the sort of standard, but almost uniquely, as you see Chris Skillett on there just spinning his car, quite uniquely, you can run this track in both directions, and Caterham Motorsport, excitingly this year, are going to be running in both directions. So they're going to be running, I think it's clockwise on day one of the race meet in September, and then running in reverse for the second day. I don't think that's ever been done before. I've certainly never heard of it, so definitely adds a bit of interest to proceedings. We're just looking at Blair McConaughey here. So this is his local track, and he performed here very well in the 270s, gaining his double win in front of his friends and family. He's certainly got some track knowledge around this place. Just before the racing started this evening, he was telling me that he was a bit confused because we're in the pre-2019 changes. So he's definitely got some in-depth track knowledge as we come up here through the chicane. He knows the ins and outs of this track, and he has not yet gained his qualification spot, so I am sure that he will be trying to do that this evening. In pre-qualification, he qualified in 4th, so that's all looking very positive for that, and two of the people in front of him in pre-qualification were Cherney and Ryan Hooker, which they've already gained their qualification spots. So yeah, if he can put in a good lap time round here in qualification, then he's certainly in with a good shout at getting one of those qualification spots. Other people to look out for this evening, there's lots of them. I'm looking down the list to try and find the people I would like to call out. So Tom McEwing has had a fantastically consistent set of results so far. So he came in 5th in the first event, and then 4th just outside those qualification spots in the second. So he's going to be another one to look out for in the racing this evening as we go through. He's certainly shown some consistency there. As we're coming up to the start of a new lap here, let's go on board with David Rowe and see whether he can actually take us around a complete lap of Knockhill. He's pulling to the inside, so it looks like he might be letting Tom McEwing go. So let's go on board with Tom McEwing instead. As we come into turn 1, you can see track cars coming out onto the track. It's confusing. You disappear off the edge of the world around Duffer's Dip and into... Oh, we lost it already. So that's not gone well. So I apologise to Tom McEwing there for putting him off. But he shows, I guess, how complicated and difficult this track is. Let's see if we can follow another driver around. We've got Blair here halfway around the lap at the moment. We'll jump on board with a lap a little bit later, maybe if the race spreads itself out. You can see that there are lots of cars having issues and going off onto the sort of edges of the track, and we will see that this evening. We have got, like I say, a bumper grid of cars, and the fact that this track is so gradient infused, it's got big curbs that are going to catch you out at any moment, and it really is a tricky thing to keep these cars in one go. So we are, as we are through the whole season, running with the Caterham 310R race car, a car which I know very well, and it's new to our caterhamracer.com platform, and we're very thankful to Andy Howard, Ben Obro, and Steve Arnell for their work and hard effort to get this car delivered for us. Let's try again with Tom, see whether we can put him off again as we're coming over the start-finish straight, just following John Lang, maybe having a good toe in front of us. We're using all the track on the left here as we go into Duffer's Dip. We need to get that curb and try and stop it all up here for McIntyre's, which is this right-hander. So he's on the brakes here. You've got to be patient here, not to go on the throttle too early, and you drop your wheel over, and it's controlled aggression through the chicane. You've got to miss those tyres, but you've got to also monster that chicane. He's using every single last bit of that track. You can see you going out here as we're going up towards Clark Bend. Very off camber, tricky. Again, making sure you make contact with both curbs. He's drifted a little bit wide, so he's lost a bit of momentum going out here onto Railway Straight. You can see that it's not actually straight. We've got a continuous left-hand kink, and we're looking for our braking zone. Just after this change of tarmac, we hammer on the brake anchors. We've gone very wide there, so we're actually setting up for our next lap. So he either missed his braking point or he's setting up for this next lap where you get a slightly longer run out. So other than that last bend, thank you very much, Tom McEwing, for getting round that lap. As I said, he is going to be a contender. And where does that put him? Nowhere at the moment. He's still 7th place, but I'm sure this is the lap he'll be looking to actually secure that. So with only 2.5 minutes. It's amazing how fast time flies, isn't it? With only 2.5 minutes to go, let's have a little rundown of where everyone is so far. And we've got Chris Skillicorn out in front currently, so showing that he does have the pace here with a 56.6. So that kind of matches the pre-qualification times we're seeing. So that's a really good effort there. So well done, Chris. We've got David Rowe showing that he's not lost any of his speed, even if we haven't seen him on the servers for a little bit. He's there in the DPR workshop in their custom simulator. It's an amazing setup that they use to get their drivers up to speed around tracks. David Rowe in second place in the DPR liveried car here. In fact, Yaroslav Cherny, one of the people who's already gained a qualification spot, but he's just taken second place from David Rowe. So again, showing that he's got that pace. And Ryan Hooker in fourth place, again, already a qualifying spot. So irrelevant as far as these qualification spots go, but obviously is going to be right up there in the racing. We have John Lang. He is currently in fifth place. Here we are in his purple and cyan machine, inspired by a pigeon of all things. So there you go. He's doing very well and nicely, thank you very much, in fifth place, with Blair McConaughey, local man Blair McConaughey, currently in sixth place. We see him going over the line. Obviously, this is move time. We've only got a minute left, so we were likely to see times adjusting and moving around. We've got Tom McEwing in seventh, Max Burgess in eighth, Tom Willis in ninth, Steve Arnell 10th, Mitchell Costers there in 11th, James Fowler 12th, Ben Maskell in 13th, Jamie Peters-Ennis still running with a very painful ankle and unable to use both feet on the simulator, so definitely having to adjust. But Jamie got his racing license through this morning, so he is now officially a racing car driver, and very proud I know he is, and hopefully getting out on track in some testing, and then maybe a bit later in the season going racing for the first time ever in the Mini. So we'll be looking out for him on the tracks for real this year. Then we got Matthew Mansell, Alan Curtis there in 16th. We've got Gary Lyons, Theo Theato, Blaine Cresswell, Anthony Hamilton, Richard Groom and Gavin Bolton there currently in 22nd place. A little bit of a spread of times tonight. As we said, we've got a bigger grid, and that's because we've actually managed to squeeze everybody into the A grid. Times click down, so it's the last opportunity for anyone to get times on the board, and they'll be aiming to do that now. But yeah, we squeezed everyone onto one grid, which is why there is just quite so many cars. And it does make it complicated, but we are also seeing some names that normally race on our B grid. So it's great for them to get on here and get some coverage as they're running around. You see Anthony Hamilton here. He's in currently showing in 20th position on the grid. It's just say we've come to the end of qualification, so what do sim racers do? Well, lots of them are being well behaved actually and pulling into the pits, but many of them just do dive off in. So we have completed qualification. David Rowe just coming across the line there to see if we can complete, and Blair McConaughey looks like he's going to try and improve his lap here as he comes over the line. Doesn't manage to do so. So let's have a look at the qualification results then for this Knockhill round, and we have Chris Skillicorn in pole position there, 56.5 second lap. So he actually improved a little bit again and got ahead of pre-qualification time. So great effort there by Chris Skillicorn. Just ahead of Cherny, who is 56.5. So thousandths of a second. And again, similar thousandths of a second back to David Rowe in third. Ryan Hooker in fourth. We have John Lang, a great position there in fifth place. Blair McConaughey managing to take sixth place. Tom McEwing, Max Burgess, Tom Willis and Steve Arnell make up the top 10. Then we have Mitchell Costers, James Fowler, Ben Maskell, Jamie Peters-Ennis, Matthew Mansell back in 15th, Alan Curtis, Gavin Lyons, new to our service, so welcome Gavin. I'm not sure if you've seen Matthew Mansell online as well, so welcome to all these drivers back here. Theo Theato, Blaine Cresswell, Anthony Hamilton in 20th, and then we have Richard Groom and Gavin Bolton in 22nd. And it looks like, well, I know we're not having Matt Larby and Stephen Henderson tonight, they're unable to make it, and Graham Hopkins hasn't yet jumped on the server. So yeah, so lots and lots of cars, new names to take into account. There's a bit of unknown there, like I said, in the actual in the race itself. We're disregarding Ryan Hooker and Yaroslav Cherny from the actual from the results as far as the qualification spots goes, but they are still racing on board and obviously looking forward to trying to take some of the honours of the race, even if they don't actually need the qualification spots that are on offer. So, as we've already gone through and sort of talked about the cars we expect to see, sort of chomping at the bit for those qualification spots, and Chris Skillicon here on the front row with David Rowe, that's definitely a good, they're two good drivers who are, shown previously that they can certainly make it stick. We've got John Lang and Blair McConaughey there, and so even in that top sort of 4 cars there, any one of those could win this race. I'd say John Lang has certainly outperformed himself compared to where we might regularly see him. We normally see him a little bit further back, so it's good to see John Lang really putting forward. And we've got Arnell and McEwing and all those other drivers which I've sort of mentioned already, who will be again ready to try and take the honours. But we've got 26 cars to try and get around this first lap, and whether that's going to happen or not, I'm keen to find out as the lights come up here. So we haven't got long to work out whether it's going to work to turn out for the best. Here we go. The red lights are coming on then for round 3 of the 2022 Winter Warmer. Who's going to get that start? We get a nice even start from the whole grid there. So great start by Skillicorn off the line as we come here. Everyone making a good fist of it so far as we come into turn 1. So Chris Skillicon still holding the lead ahead of Cherney, and then David Rowe is in 3rd, putting ahead of Ryan Hooker there in 4th. And John Lang, we have got a spinner a little bit behind. That is going to cause a little bit of hectic scrambling going on through the field. But the top 6 have all made it through without issue. Can we make it through the chicane without any more issues? It certainly looks like we're doing a good job. We can see in the background there are quite a few cars there spinning. We will come and see what they're all up to in a minute. But Chris Skillicorn safe and free in front of Jaroslav Cherney, with Ryan Hooker making up a spot. So maybe David Rowe losing out there, dripping back to 6th place currently. So he definitely had a little bit of issue. Bit of a lag glitch there on Chris Skillicorn's car. So that's something to watch out for. It's something unique to online racing. It's not something we see in real life, and it's something the drivers all have to be careful of. But again, Chris Skillicorn coming up to complete lap 1, and whilst we did see some issues through the field, we've still got a good chain of cars here all pulling up and nicely sort of going into their long snake formation as they settle into this 25-minute race with the lap times being sort of just under a minute. We can expect to see something like 25-26 laps, so they're going to be dizzy by the end of this one. Skillicorn settling in there with Ryan Hooker in 3rd, John Lang in 4th, with Max Burgess there, nice position 5, so he's made some good progress early doors to get up to 5th place. David Rowe slipping another spot. In fact, he's slipping several spots, so it looks like he has dropped it coming out of the chicane. That's going to scupper his chances in this opening, his first time with us on the server. Cherney, as I said, he's not aiming for this qualification spot, but he was absolutely on fire last time out at Cadwell. He was disappearing up the road whilst everyone else squabbled, so he has got some extremely good pace, and you can see there he set the fastest lap with a 56.7 second lap, and he is absolutely hounding Chris Skillicorn here for the lead. So Chris maybe can think about the calculation here. He's got nothing to lose if he drops it off the exit there. Cherney does make the move up into there, and that could be a safer place now for Chris Skillicorn to hook onto the back of Cherney and let him drag him away from the field. And the field is next up is Ryan Hooker in 3rd place here. Ryan, we've seen he's got some amazing real-world experience and actually is a driving instructor for quite a few of the Caterham fields around the country. And it's great to have Ryan on board with the service, showing he's not lost any of his speed when it comes to sim racing as well. And in fact, he's been with us a few seasons, and we've seen him just taking those steps forward, and he's really clicked with this new 310R model. So Ryan currently in 3rd place. So we have got the 2 people who don't actually need qualification positions up there in 1st and 3rd, and therefore we can disregard them. So the people currently in those qualification spots are Chris Skillicorn in 2nd. We've got John Lang now moving to that 4th place. So great stuff for John Lang, and Max Burgess. I'd say they're 2 unexpected people in the qualification spots so far, but with still 21 and nearly 22 minutes to go, there's plenty of times for things to sort of separate and move apart. A little bit further back from this main group, we have here Blair McConaughey just right on that tail of that final qualification position that Max Burgess is currently sitting in. And let's say Blair's got all that local knowledge, and he'll certainly again be wanting to put on a good result so he can gain his qualification spot and can relax then for the rest of the season. He's looking up the inside here, does that, a late dive on the brakes there, really good move, but it does make him slow out of that bend. All that's going to bring Steve Arnell into play as well, and Max Burgess does get that acceleration out. So even though he was a great move on the entrance to that corner, it certainly didn't give him the momentum coming up here up the start-finish straight, and Max Burgess maintains that position, but it certainly looks like Blair's hungry for that qualification spot. Steve Arnell is always consistent on our service, and it's really good to have him on board this evening again. He has been the bridesmaid a number of times this season so far, always just outside. Last time out, a kind of mistake earlier, or an issue early in the Cadwell event, meant that he actually dropped back and wasn't able then to quite make it for, he probably had the strongest momentum of all the cars out on track, but he didn't quite manage to make it back to the front of the field, so was in that sort of runner-up spot. Looks like David Rowe has had a sort of horrible opening after we missed his actual spin, but he's down in 17th place, so deep in the field, and with only a single race this evening, it doesn't look like he will be making up those spots. Other drivers a little bit sort of further down the field, they're having their own in-depth battles. You can see them all here. We've got Tom Willis, who we're following around here. Tom hasn't had quite the ultimate performance this year. He's still in and around the same places as James Fowler, so they're already sort of, whilst they're not next to each other on track at the moment, we can't see James. James is a bit further down the road. They are still running in that 11th and 12th place. But I know Tom would be looking for slightly better results, and certainly will be heavy. This is not going to help his results as he's spinning there, and it's going to be tough for the others to avoid him. They do manage to avoid him, so well done there to Matthew Bansal for making sure he did avoid that issue there. Meanwhile, back into our battle, and it's Max Burgess. They're still going backwards and forwards. We see him again that Steve Arnell was even involved there, but this is certainly the biggest battle we've got on track here. And Max Burgess is still holding on late on the brakes there into Duffer's Dip, and then looking to get it hauled up for McIntyre. Blair, what a opportunistic move that would be, and he does put him off, and they're side by side coming out, and it's meant that Max Burgess actually drifts off onto the gravel there, and he got a bit spooked by Blair's move. Blair did what he needed to do. Was that Steve Arnell losing it out of the chicane? Yes, it is. Steve Arnell there in the barrier, so he is probably not going to actually be a representative in this final event. He's certainly going to miss out on his qualification spot. Gosh, we knew there was going to be action, but Max Burgess is still not able to relax here. He's now under attack from Mitchell Costas here. Mitchell quite new to our service, and it's great to have him racing around and now putting, it's gone from bad to worse for Max, hasn't it? He's suddenly drifted all the way back to 7th, so from having a secure qualification spot, he has drifted out of it. But that does mean now that Blair McConaughey inherits that final qualification spot on his home track. We will keep an eye on Max to see whether he can make it back up to Blair by the end of the race. He's still got plenty of time and opportunity, and there's still plenty of time for mistakes to happen as we go through this race. So it's a fantastic circuit. If you've never been here in real life, and you manage to get here on a day with great weather, it is spectacular scenery just north of Dunfermline up in Scotland, and you can see all the way across and down to Edinburgh and all the Firth of Forth and all the bridges going across to Edinburgh. It's a truly magical place, and as a spectator you get to see great swathes of this track no matter where you stand, so it's always popular with race meetings. And like I say, Caterham Motorsport here in September, so if you want to see some of the names that we've seen on our service tonight racing here for real, then please do get down and fill those banks. It's always great to have a crowd and show what Caterham's love to do, which is put on a great performance, and it's always fun. So out front we have Cherney doing Cherney things. He is 3 seconds to the good ahead of Ryan Hooker. So again, we can completely discard those two from the results. But Ryan Hooker here is now under pressure again from Chris Skillicorn. But remember, Chris Skillicorn is the first one looking to gain one of his qualification spots. So again, he might choose to sit and just follow Ryan around. Having said that, it doesn't look like he's happy sitting there in second, does it? It looks like he wants to make a move. And John Lang, great performance for John here in that 4th place, but in the 2nd qualification spot. He pre-qualified down in 13th place, so that shows how much of a step up he's taken this evening and how well this is. And in the previous 2 rounds, we've seen him down in 17th and in 9th. So again, great performance and a great step up round here. Definitely clicking with the Knockhill circuit. Yeah, so John has been racing simulators for around 4 years. He's never raced in real life, but he's got his own bespoke made sim rig, so he's done his own DIY job and it's performing very nicely tonight. And so congratulations to John. Blair McConaughey still taking that 2nd qualification spot. Apologies, taking the 3rd qualification spot. So see whether Mitchell Costas, we've already mentioned Mitchell, can do anything about it. At the moment, it's looking like that you've got a gap of 2.5 to nearly 3 seconds now to make up, and he's also not turning laps quite as fast as Blair. So at the moment, that looks like Blair is in a fairly comfortable position after his early early issues. It's worth pulling out some of our other drivers whilst the race sort of spreads out slightly in these lead packs. Here's Anthony Hamilton, a friend of mine from a way back in our karting days with CSMA, and it's great to see him on the A grid tonight. He has been a regular on the B grid, but with our larger grid tonight, he is here showing what an improvement he's been making recently. The fact he's been on track for the last 3 corners is more than the leaders were doing, and certainly more than we saw from David Rowe earlier. I'm going to cut away very quickly there to save your blushes, Anthony. And here's David Rowe. In fact, so we early on he had those issues, but he has managed to pull himself back up. So we saw him down in 17th or 18th position, but he's now back up into 12th position. And I'm sure Ruing making that mistake early on, where he definitely looked like he was in the mix, and that's where we would expect him to see him in that mix going round. So we are around got 13 minutes to go in this race, and we're racing in that clockwise direction. I mentioned earlier that pretty uniquely, in fact, I don't know it anywhere else or other tracks that you can run it in both directions. We are in the normal clockwise direction tonight, and the Caterham Motorsport season, when it visits in September, they will be having the first day running clockwise. And then on the second day, they're going to be running the race anti-clockwise. So the 2 days testing prior to the event, they will be allowed to, or one day test in one direction, the other test in the reverse. And in my time watching motorsport, I can't think of another occasion when that has happened. I'm going to click back forward to the front of the race here, because Chris Killicon is still right on the tail there of Ryan Hooker. Again, he's got such a gap behind him of that 4 seconds back to John Lang that it would almost be unwise to make any move. And as long as Ryan's not making mistakes and still making good enough forward progress, as he dives, what a great opportunistic move that was. But we saw that didn't work earlier on for Blair, although they're still side by side coming up this hill. Ryan does have just that bit of momentum, and Chris Killicon tucks back in there looking for the toe. We've got the toe slightly in the sim as he's moving to the outside around Duffer's Dip. That would be a brave move to make that stick, and he is sticking with it. He's got to haul it up here on the inside. Ryan giving him plenty of room there, so really good racing all round. So congratulations to actually making that happen. We see Chris still got that momentum, but again, nowhere to use it at the moment. As Brian makes a mistake going up through the chicane, so the pressure has caused Ryan to go off. He still appears back on our screen. How on earth did he manage to drag that one back? He had to go around the tyre barrier because the tyre wall is absolutely solid on the simulator. It does not move. If you crash into it, that is game over. We run with damage on the simulator of about 70% of full damage just to make crashes mean something. And Ryan there just having to dive around the opposite side of the tyres, but somehow kept it under control and has actually pulled a little bit more of a gap. So unbelievable stuff there from Ryan. But Chris is still absolutely hounding him. He's not happy sitting in this place. It could all go horribly wrong as they're side by side coming over the line here into turn 1, side by side for the second time in a row. You can see that John Lang is going around the outside again. Is he going to hold it, stick it this time? No, Ryan still manages to defend on the brakes into McIntyre's. Oh, and he's lost it. Sorry, I was just looking away from my screen. Just as I looked away, he lost it. So the pressure has absolutely shown what it's doing. But it has brought John Lang and Blair McConaughey right back in to contention there. So say it was I guess Chris was just feeling that the pace wasn't quite there as he loses the rear end. So suddenly from being relatively comfortable in his qualification spot, he has lost all that now, and he is right in the clutches of John Lang. Certainly John will be looking to get within that half-second gap, which will then give him that strong toe going into these late laps. Mitchell Costas and Max Burgess, they're looking and hungry to see whether they've seen people falling off the track in front of them, so they're going to be ready and willing to take up those remaining qualification spots if they become available. But still at the moment it's Chris Skillicorn, John Lang and McConaughey who are holding on to those qualification spots. We've still got 10 minutes to go, so there's still plenty of time and plenty of opportunities for both great moves forward as well as issues and slipping back, as we saw from Ryan Hooker there, who's now down from being a comfortable second. He is now down in 7th place. Theo Theato just going through. So something else we haven't had to deal with this year so far, but it looks like Cherney is already making his way through lapped traffic. His gap out front now is 10 seconds. So incredibly consistent lap times there from Cherney and really not having any issues. Blair McConaughey right up the inside of John Lang there. Let's see who's going to make it out. John Lang has got the momentum. So that inside dive move, whilst it gets you the early position, if the driver who's being attacked can basically get on that throttle earlier, and as we're going uphill over the top of the start-finish straight, it means that they have that momentum to do it. But Blair's been absolutely nailing the braking points there, and it's a real opportunistic overtakes. It's quite in Caterham terms, it's quite a tricky track to overtake at. It's, ultimately, it's not like the fast-flowing Silverstone or other wide tracks where Caterhams can seemingly overtake anywhere and certainly try to. There's really only a couple of opportunities for good overtaking. Excuse me, let me get my teeth back in. Good overtaking opportunities, and here's one of them. So Blair is now further alongside. He is going to make that move, stick up the inside this time. John's going to try and make it around the outside, but I know that Blair's wily enough that he will squeeze him slightly onto the curb, and you can see that happening there. So Blair now does hold that position. John Lang slipping back there into 4th, but still in that qualification spot. So still in a comfortable position as far as that, but will he be happy to let it go? And Blair defending down the inside. So that's a classic Knockhill move into the one good opportunity there. He managed to get the car up the inside into the Taylor's hairpin. He put brilliant braking performance and didn't lock up or go wide, and just able to put a little squeeze on John there to make that move stick. He certainly seems to have the momentum, and we'll see whether John can actually cling on in there with now Mitchell Costas sort of the next of the best and looking for that qualification spot if he can get it. So yeah, a perfect sort of illustration of the overtaking opportunity is down here into Taylor's. John Lang still sat there. You can see a lap later, but not under pressure this time. He's got Theo just spinning off onto the inside there. Theo was in the academy last year, I believe, and he certainly isn't shy of a spin in real life as well. I'm sure he'll hate me for saying that, but yeah, simulator as in real life. And I know that he'll be looking forward to the new season and all the experience now under the belt from the academy and dialing in the new car and ready to get going once more. Chris Skillicorn has sort of broken away from the pressure behind, hasn't he, with them battling, and Blair now ahead of John. He's had a little opportunity to gain some time, but we did see that he's not, he's capable of making a mistake, so it could be that Blair can catch him, and we'll keep that monitoring the last 7 minutes of this race. Looking down the field now to see whether there's any sort of good battling. There are quite a few gaps appearing everywhere, but we've got still clumps of cars, and this is the kind of battle around the rear end of the top 10. Alan Curtis there just dropping a wheel off the curb and into the gravel. Again, we see that in real life just the same as we do on here, with the dust now being kicked up, and Jamie Peters-Ennis there with his new race licence looking to try and make a move. Alan Curtis defending the inside, which you've seen how important the inside is around this bend. Peterson is just going to have to sort of sit in, see whether we can get the slingshot out of the bend. Alan Curtis there, though, does have the momentum up the start-finish straight, so he will be able to defend. So Alan was in the 270R class last year, and he has now upgraded his car into the 310 model. So he is on this evening getting more experience. He'll be here in September with the main Caterham Motorsport team. Jamie Peterson is looking for that dive down the inside of McIntyre's. Is he going to keep it on the track? He does. That's great opportunistic move. Great move and well stuck in with a broken ankle. That's no mean feat. So well done, Jamie. That was a well-controlled move. And Alan Curtis there sort of now settling in behind, see whether Jamie can drag him along. So out front, say Cherney doing Cherney things, gracefully pulling ahead. He's now got 11.5 second gap, so be interesting to see Cherney, and he's drifting around Clark Bend. There's beautiful bit of car control. This new 310R model, we've spoken about it before, it's a little bit more front end focused, and the rear end does like to drift around, perhaps more than it does in real life actually. In real life the car's a little bit more solid at the rear, but Cherney there showing how you can slide this car and absolutely carry momentum around. As I was saying, I think it would be interesting to see how he and Will Rossetti fare. We had an offline race yesterday around Snetterton, so a sort of sneak peek of our next event coming up next Tuesday evening. They were having an absolute brilliant battle, hammer and tongs. Will Rossetti actually got the best of it, so we'll see whether that happens now. Richard Groom just letting Cherney go by. We'll say that is letting go by rather than going off there. So we probably, or it depends whether we see these Cherney and Will Rossetti on track until the grand final. We know they will be there on the 1st of March, so we're talking a few weeks away yet before that grand final event. Yeah, everything is settling in now, like I say, so we are in our season 7 of our caterhamracer.com championship. I'm just going to go, Ryan Hooker's just lost another place there, back behind Steve Arnell, so again he's had some more issues. From 2nd place he's drifted all the way back down to 9th, so he won't be happy, I don't think, with that, but like I said, he's got his qualification spot, so ultimately it's a bit of fun for him. But Steve Arnell not making the forward progress I'm sure he would have liked to make down here in 8th place, but still, you know, another solid result, and he will certainly be one of the front contenders when we get to Snetterton next time out, along with the sort of other drivers in that midfield who haven't yet got their qualification spot, but we see Steve regularly near the front, so yeah, he'll be looking for that next time out, I'm sure. After our next qualification race next Tuesday, so a fortnight away, we have what we call our last chance saloon. So after we've done all our 4 qualification races, where there are 3 qualification spots on offer, we then have our 5th race of the season, which is only open to people who haven't yet got their qualification spot, and essentially it's a fight out for the top 6 of that race. So we have 6 more qualification spots, the final 6 qualification spots up for grabs in that event in a couple of weeks' time. So if you haven't already, I encourage you to subscribe or follow or like our videos. You'll get notification then whenever we go live. You certainly don't want to miss the action. There's plenty more to go this season. This is sort of the halfway point of our season with six events. And then as we sort of wind down our 7th season of caterhamracer.com, that's when the real Caterham Motorsport season is really looking to come alive. They start their first event at Brands Hatch Indy on the 9th and 10th of April. So as we just sing, I'm just seeing the cars having to deal with traffic. With Gavin Bolton there, I think it is. Getting passed by this lead pack, and Chris Skillicorn still holding out over Blair McConaughey and John Lang for those qualification spots. Although, having said that, Mitchell Costas through this traffic has managed to catch up quite comfortably there with John Lang. So John is now going to have to start looking in his mirrors. It's definitely not a comfortable place to be. We've only got 2 minutes of the race left to go. So it's been... It's all coming to a head now, and certainly if you're John Lang at the moment, you are a little bit worried now about having to fight rear gunner. You're the sandwich in that, the ham in that sandwich. and Mitchell here certainly has closed that gap. Couple of laps most likely to try and get that place back, or trying to get his qualification spot. That is the final qualification spot this evening, and John Lang currently holds it, and Mitchell Costas wants to grab it off him. He's got a great run coming up here into Taylor's. We said this is the opportunity to overtake. Will he make that late sort of dive on the brakes? He's lining it up, but not feeling this is the right opportunity. He's probably got one more opportunity, maybe two, depending on, I think Cherney's further enough up the road that we'll actually get two more opportunities before he runs out of time. He doesn't want to make a mistake. We have obviously a race stewarding type process as well, so if he does make contact with John Lang, then he's lost the rear end there. That's not going to help him on his visit. Monstering the curves going around here. That's an absolute monster, but it's cost him time. And John Lang looks like he's got that little bit of a gap for now as we're going into this sort of penultimate lap now. 30 seconds on the race clock. We'll come back to that battle. We can see that Cherney is coming round and he is going to start his next lap. That was David Rowe just going through the line there down in 14th. So looks like Cherney's made his way all the way up to 14th place there when he's lapping. So it's a great performance. He's gone now onto with 14 seconds to go. This will be last lap, so we'll keep an eye out for him. But let's quickly head back to that John Lang. We'll try and keep an eye on both things as we're going. But yeah, John Lang here still holding on as we come up the start-finish straight. Looks like Blair has got it sorted. Chris Gillicorn's definitely comfortable as long as he didn't make mistakes. This is the battle. John Lang versus Mitchell Costas for that final qualification spot. John's just got enough at the moment as long as he keeps that consistent. But this time Mitchell does make it a little bit more smoothly over the curbs. But he hasn't made that gap and he's dropping wheel off. He's trying everything. He's working hard, but unfortunately sometimes when you try and push too hard, it just costs you more time than it saves. At this point it looks like John's got it hooked up. He's only got a couple more bends to go. I'm going to have to click back to Cherney as he comes up here to take his victory. As we said before, let's switch the front on view. He doesn't actually need that for his qualification spot. We see... sorry, I'm just getting... This is where my multiple things got. Chris Skillicorn coming over here, taking his his qualification spot. We got Blair McConaughey taking his qualification spot. And John Lang does hold on ahead of Mitchell Costas there for his qualification spot. So unlucky to Mitchell. He'll see him in the next round trying to take that. Max Burgess consistent there, and Ben Maskell. Great performance from both of those. Not many times they've been on us the A grid, so it's great to see them. Ryan Hooker there coming home in 8th. Steve Arnell 9th. And that was Theo just going over. He's been lapped. But we have here got Mansell, we got McEwing, and now we've got Peter Zennis crossing the line here to 12th place with Alan Curtis following him home in 13th. Whew. I have a greater appreciation for Scott, and I can't wait for Scott to be back, but I have held it together just about for the 25 minutes of that race, and what an action-packed race it was. There, with 22 cars, they're all fighting out for position. It's been brilliant to watch, and certainly the drivers have done a great job. So let's go back over the result from this evening's race. We have Yaroslav Cherney came home in first place there. Great dominant performance once more. And he's taken that in 25 minutes 41 seconds. Chris Skillicorn, a few issues sort of middle of the race there, looking like it was getting close at one point, but he takes that first qualification spot from this evening with second place on in our result. Blair McConaughey in the race podium, but also taking that second qualification spot on offer with John Lang there in fourth place. I'm sure he is nice there. He's relaxed now that the race is over. There got Mitchell Costas just missing out in that fifth place battle at the end there. Looked exciting. It looked like the lap traffic certainly came into play there. So well done to Mitchell in fifth, but unfortunately just missing out on those qualification spots. I'm sure he'll be back at Snetterton next week to try again. Max Burgess, a great result in sixth. Ben Maskell, Ryan Hooker drifting all the way back to eighth after running sort of second early doors. We have Steve Arnell there ninth, and Matthew Mansell taking that top 10 position. In 11th, we have Tom McEwing ahead of Jamie Peters-Ennis, Alan Curtis in 13th, David Rowe 14th, James Fowler 15th, Theo Theato in 16th place. Gavin Bolton 17th, Anthony Hamilton is 18th, Tom Willis 19th, and Richard Groom 20th. We are not quite done because we still have Gavin Lyons came 21st, and 22nd was Blaine Cresswell, and then the last three unfortunately weren't able to race with us this evening. So, deep breath, and Chris Skidicon there. I'm sure very happy with that first qualification spot. Blair McConaughey taking that second one, and John Lang taking the third place. What I'm going to try and do is, as ever, we will try and get hold of some of our drivers who took part in that, and we will first see whether we can get Chris Skidicon into the commentary booth and keep me company for this final bit of the broadcast. Hey Chris, have you got us in the commentary box?
Hello Chris, yeah, I'm here.
Oh, what? I mean, early on it looked quite hectic for sure, but it sort of settled itself down. You had a brilliant battle with Ryan that we were watching on stream, and you really pressured him into two mistakes in a row. A sort of interesting middle part to your race.
Yeah, it was all a bit frantic, wasn't it? I mean, Cherney just cleared off once he got past me, and Ryan was obviously gaining on me pretty quickly. He went by, and then he seemed to make a few mistakes. So I was pretty happy with that. I'm not sure where he ended up in the end, but I'll take that.
Yeah, and that is a qualification spot secured. I guess you can relax now until the grand final on the 1st of March.
Excellent. I'm going to go and have a drink now.
Yes, you're allowed to. And I guess we're not going to see you as part of the Last Chance Saloon, but if you're obviously free to join us for the next event. But I was wondering, have you got plans for the real motorsport season?
A hot topic actually. I am likely to be doing a bit of Caterham Motorsport 310s and a bit of grads as well. So that's just been in discussion today, and I'm just trying to sort out all the membership of the various clubs and all that sort of stuff. All
right, well, we might see you around Knockhill for real then a bit later on in either of those two series. So well done tonight, and we'll see you next
time. Looking forward to it. Cheers, Chris.
That's great for Chris Skidicon there. Let's see, we got Blair to join us. Hey Blair, have you got me in the commentary box?
Yes, I can hear you, Cheesy.
Great stuff. And qualification achieved. That must be a bit of a relief. It certainly wasn't a quiet race for you, though.
No, certainly not. A lot of action. I made my fair share of mistakes. I got my fair share of luck. Had a good few moves that I tried to do in the hairpin, but it was tricky to make it stick. But overall, absolutely very chuffed.
Yeah, we saw that great couple of opportunistic moves into that hairpin, but like you say, it just didn't feed into the momentum up the hill then.
I think it works out better in real life, or I hope it does anyway. This is very good practice for when we go there in September. Other than obviously you haven't got the wet weather turned on.
And who knows, by September that could well be the sprinklers fully in action. So congratulations on your qualification spot tonight, and we'll maybe see you at the next one, but definitely see you at the grand final in March.
Excellent. Thanks very much, Cheesy.
Cheers, Blair. There we go, and let's see whether John Lang is available. Hey John, have you got us in the commentary box?
Yeah, good evening.
Hey, so what a performance. I think that's quite a step up for you, and straight into the qualification spots.
Yeah, I ran well. I don't know why. I think I did well last season at this track. It must be something that I like. I'm just holding on all the way around, so I don't know if I like it, but I seem to go quite well here. So that was, I was surprised I qualified so well, especially with like the full grid of everybody. Sometimes if you land up on the B grid, if you have like a poor qualifying, so throwing everybody in.
But you absolutely rose up there.
Yeah,
absolutely rose up the ranks and just sort of held on, like you say. It's a roller coaster ride here, and it certainly wasn't comfortable at the end there with Mitchell Costas looking like he might have a nibble or two.
No, both Blair and Mitchell just came from. I thought I was nice and comfy 4 seconds behind me. I wasn't catching the guys in front unless they collided, which they did, but not enough. And then I suddenly saw in the rearview mirror. It was Blair just sending one into the final turn, and then Mitchell chasing me down. We had a great race last week. Mitchell and I bested me then, but luckily I got him this time.
Well, you've gained your spot into the grand final, so we'll look forward to seeing him.
I hadn't done any research. I just thought I'd turn up and race. All right, that's amazing. I can relax a bit.
You can certainly relax for the next event, and you won't be needed in the last chance saloon. So congratulations, well done, and we'll see you a bit later.
Awesome, thanks.
So there we go then. So, yep, congratulations to our qualifiers tonight. What we'll do is we'll just quickly go back into the season just to show you what is coming up in the next few weeks, the last 4 weeks of this season 7 of the 2022 Winter Warmer at caterhamracer.com. So we have completed Knockhill, done. So the next one up is Snetterton 300. That's next Tuesday, the 15th of February. So that's our final qualification race with the 3 qualification spots on offer. And then followed up after that. So for anybody who has not yet gained their qualification spot, we are racing at Croft for the last chance saloon, and that's on the 22nd of February, a couple of weeks away from now. And then we will have our final race of our season at Alton Park or Anglesey Coastal. It's going to go to a driver vote, and that'll be our grand final event. So for anyone who's gained their, or one of the 18 qualifications positions, so the 18 best drivers all put together for a race on the 1st of March around Alton or Anglesey. I cannot wait to bring all the action to you, and it will then not be long after that. We're really gearing up for the real Caterham season, and season 8 of our caterhamracer.com platform will be to mirror the main Caterham Motorsports season, and the real cars will be out on track from April the 9th and 10th at Brands Hatch Indy. So looking forward to all of that, but without Scott here to do his normal close, it's just left for me to say thank you very much. I'm looking forward to Scott being back next week, but thank you for joining us. Make sure you do subscribe, like our videos if you want to be notified when the next one is. But if not, we'll see you next Tuesday for the Snetterton 300 qualification race, part of the 2022 Winter Warmer. See you then, and goodbye.